Some say it's like trying to balance a marble on top of a straw. It's pretty difficult work to get that balance right, hovering a helicopter. Now, I teach on my YouTube channel simulator pilots how to hover their simulated helicopters in simulated environments, but this is real. I'm at Essendon Fields Airport in Melbourne, Australia, and under the excellent supervision of the good people at Melbourne Heli, we're going to safely, in a controlled environment, see if we can answer this question. Can a helicopter flight simulation enthusiast like me, or an ordinary person for that matter, hover a real-life helicopter? For me, I feel the stakes are quite high. I'm coming here on the channel and having a go. Maybe this could go really well. Maybe I could be very wobbly indeed. This will be for you to discover. So let's have a go, let's get on board, and let's fly.
All right, well, welcome to Melbourne Heli, Matthew.
Excited to be here.
A little bit of hovering today. I know you've done a flight with us about 3 years ago, so we've put you into a Cabri G2, wonderful little French two-seat piston training helicopter.
Which is actually larger than this toy.
Yeah, one less blade, but pretty much the same thing. We've got a fenestron on the rear.
Yep.
But the intent today is not to go through too much theory. It's just to get you into the aircraft and just really see if some of those sim skills are translating. I think they will. I think there's a bit of a misnomer about how simulators can be used for real flying, and there are things that they don't do well, and there are things that they do well. We tend to talk about instrument training, but students that spend a bit of time hovering in simulated helicopters tend to come here and do extremely well very quickly.
So no pressure, right? Rick's correct. I did an introductory flight here before. My flying was kind of wobbly, and at one point I had to ask the instructor to take over during hovering. No harm done. That's all part of learning. Today, Rick's briefing our path around the field and how we do handovers.
We can use some very simple language and be pretty disciplined about it. I'm going to say something like, you have control of the cyclic, of the collective, of the pedals, if I'm talking about individual controls. And you'll just say back to me, I have control. So you have control, I have control.
And how is the weather looking?
This is saying to us, a little bit of a southerly light wind, pressure's pretty much ISA, a little bit above, temperature's not too bad, getting a bit warmer in the day. And otherwise, a lovely acronym we like to see, CAV OK, or ceiling and visibility OK. So not that there's no weather, we can see a little bit of cloud out there, but otherwise it's pretty much bang on for a VFR flight today.
We have chosen beautifully today.
We've chosen beautifully today. So without no further ado, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll head down the aircraft. I'm going to give you the checklist, and we'll head over to the Eastern Grass some hovering.
Well, I guess the question that is foremost in my mind, going into, for me, a slightly challenging scenario like this is what is it in your mind that actually makes hovering in a helicopter challenging?
It's one of those things that I think we're just not used to doing. I don't juggle, but I've heard people equate it to juggling, where it's not necessarily a hard thing to do. I would hope that's an accurate thing to say. But people can't pick it up and just juggle. You need a few hours. And I think hovering's the same thing. It's just a thing that we're not naturally wired to do. But after we do it, it becomes like walking around, which if you think from a biomedical, mechanical point of view is more difficult than hovering as far as the stability, balance, and musculature required.
Right.
But,
we don't think about that.
We do it without thinking. So a lot of students, there's no right or wrong way to hover as far as the time it takes. Everyone will get it at their own pace. Some people get it very early, that's fine. Some people take a little bit more time, that's fine too. But as we say, occasionally when they least expect it, the hover fairy will sort of appear and tap the person on the shoulder and they'll realise they're hovering. Typically in the middle of a discussion with the instructor where they're distracted. And as we say, their monkey brain takes over and it just settles right down. When people are thinking about it, you start to over-control and have issues. But yet to meet anyone who can't hover, it's just a case of putting the effort in and everyone gets there at their own pace.
Rick's got us all set up in our awesome high-tech Cabri G2 helicopter, and so it's nearly time to jump in and get started up. There's a separate video of that process, so take a look at that if you're hungry for all the detail.
So here we go.
All clear.
Cool, friction's coming off. Feel free to follow me through on the controls. Just going to come up to a hopper here. Start raising the collective, a little bit of right pedal, up we come. Just sorting the trim out from the last flight.
And Rick's getting us over to the so-called Eastern Grass helicopter training area at Essendon. It runs sort of parallel to the main east-west runway. And he's arranged for one of his pilot's colleagues, Ruben, to go ahead, standing out in the blazing sun. Sorry, Ruben, to film us from outside.
Yeah, so there's Ruben straight ahead. That's good for us.
Right.
So what we'll do is we'll just basically get into the hover into wind, which is pretty much going to be straight in front of him. And then what we'll do is we'll just start going through the motions. Now, to start with, we're going to do the pedals, and then we're going to move on to the collective, then the collective and the pedals, then the cycle and everything together, and I'll sort of talk you through that.
Awesome. So Ruben's getting our before shot here with the professional at the controls.
Yeah. So we'll kind of stay at about here, just for now. And just having a good look at the wind's doing. Wind's kind of coming from there. If we have a look a bit over here, we've got another wind sock. It's pretty light and variable today, so the wind's not going to have too much of an effect. But yeah, with the pedals, Matthew, so pedal goes left, we go left, pedal goes right, we go right. If you want to maintain our position facing maybe that white truck between the two blue ones,
Yes.
when you're ready, you have control of the pedals.
I have control of the pedals. Yeah, just a gentle squeeze, isn't it?
Just a gentle squeeze. The right pedal is what we call the power pedal, so you're pushing against the torque. When you apply left pedal, we're not reversing the thrust, we're just reducing the thrust and letting the torque actually turn the helicopter, so they respond quite differently. Okay, now I have control. That was nice and easy. We'll move on to the collective. Collective's pretty straightforward. Collective goes up, we go up. Collective goes down, we go down. And basically you just want to hold, ideally about a 3-foot hover here. So let's see how we go with that. You have control of the collective.
I've got the collective. Oh yeah. Quite sensitive.
Yeah, it's not as sensitive as the cyclic, as we'll soon find out, or remember from the last flight, but yeah, as you can see, it just kind of does its thing.
Let that ground effect catch us there at the end. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
wonderful feeling that you just feel that soft cushion under you.
Very much so. Nice, I have control. So nice and easy there. We'll put it together. Now obviously with the collective, if I take my feet off the pedals and raise the collective, we're going to go yawing out to the left.
Yes.
That's the torque there. So now as we raise collective right pedal, lower collective left pedal. So Matthew, when you're ready, you have control of the collective and the pedals.
Collective and the pedals, I've got them. So up we go, and no change there. Oh, maybe there's some. Trying to focus on that truck.
Yeah.
Notice how far left I just swung the nose. This is one of those classic skills we need to learn for helicopter and to build into our muscle memory. The connection between going up and down and compensating with our feet on the pedals for that change in torque.
We'll move on to the cyclic, Matthew. So as you know, cyclic is just going to help us control our position. So as we start drifting around a little bit, it's going to be a chance for us just to kind of sort the drift out.
Yep.
But we'll just manage that and then we'll put it all together. So when you're ready, Matthew, you have control of the cyclic.
I've got the cyclic. I'll just nudge it over to the left a bit.
Yeah.
And back over to the right.
Yeah, as much as you can sort of keep it nice and in position, we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, I'm just, I can feel you huffing me out there.
Oh, there's
Yep.
a little bit of a nudge. It's still your aircraft until we do that positive handover.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah,
So I'm just focusing on Ruben.
that's right. Going to settle you down just to a stop and then you keep flying. There you go.
Trying to maintain, I guess, a position on Ruben.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing to think about as far as where do we look when we're hovering. So we really want to try and maintain the hover. Right, control is going to reset us.
Yes.
We want to sort of look out in the middle ground. If we look down and sort of at our feet or too close to the ground,
Yes.
it's going to kind of go wrong. So we want to look out. Maybe in this case, I'm looking past Ruben out to that gable marker that's behind him, that white marker delineating the boundary for runway 26 in this case.
Got that?
Yeah, so that's a good place to look. If we look down, it's even if I try and look down between my feet, I can feel my hovering getting a little more hard, a little more difficult. All right, doing very well. I have control. Let's put it all together now, and we'll spend a bit of time, I think, on all three controls. So,
Awesome.
Matthew, when you're ready, you have control.
I got control, all three. Did.
Very, very good job.
Thank you. I'm just focusing on Ruben, of course.
Yeah.
Feel we're sinking slightly, so I'm just giving it a little more collective.
Yeah, we're a little low, about a foot, so we want to be around, 3 feet kind of minimum. The lower we get, the more ground effect we can make use of, but, when we're starting to hover, a little bit of clearance from the ground's certainly going to be good for safety.
Yeah, there we go. That's good. I feel like I'm It's nice having that Guimbal marker just above Ruben's head there. It's really helping.
Definitely.
Ruben's very kind helping us out like this. He's turned out to be the star of the show, actually.
Yeah, Rubes is a very, very accomplished fixed-wing instructor, and so we give him a little bit of grief that he's here flying helicopters with us, but yeah, fantastic pilot for us to have at Melbourne Heli.
Now that I'm getting the feel for the controls and I have all three of them, suddenly it feels like it's all coming together for me.
Well, I must say I haven't had to intervene once. This is completely you, Matthew. You hovering.
Oh, this is awesome. Feels great.
Oh, I must say, I was hoping you'd be a little worse for this, so we could have a bit more fun. But you're doing extremely well, Matthew. This is in my mind, it's proof that hovering in flight simulation translates directly to the real aircraft. I see it with students all the time. There's a lot of negative opinion about the use of flight simulators, and there certainly is ways to misuse them. But for helicopters, if you can hover a simulated helicopter, it will help rather than harm your flying the real aircraft.
Awesome. Yeah, look, I guess that the learning for me in the simulator is to not overdo it, right? Not over control it.
Yeah.
And like that takes so long to learn. And like I guess I've dealt with that concept.
Yep.
I mean, in practice, this is very different. Like, you know, through the stick, I get, and the collective, and the pedals, I get a lot of feedback from the machine. You know, it's really moving under my limbs. Yep.
And those sensory inputs will help as Rick gets me to turn about the mast.
And keep coming around.
Holding position, more or less, and turning about the helicopter's centre point.
Yeah, I mean, my temptation is to look down a lot.
Yeah.
So
looking out is definitely what we want to do.
Yeah, looking out, that's better. I can feel it when you're looking down. You're too tentative and you go too slow. Yeah.
Stepping up in difficulty again. This is a turn about a point. In this case, Ruben.
Yeah, I feel myself getting a little bit close to him.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Backing off.
Good identified and just sort of recovering a bit, so we won't get any closer than this.
A real three-dimensional challenge.
Good.
I need to keep a safe distance, point the nose correctly, and stop from sinking.
Yeah, again, you're just suggesting. Whoop.
Yeah. So now we're kind of coming a little bit downwind. There's not too much wind, but there's a little bit, so it's going to want to push you towards Rubes. So a little bit of into-wind cyclic. Little left pedal for that nose.
Got that.
There we go.
Yeah, this is a real coordination task, this one.
Yeah.
So I felt myself adding a little bit more collective, I think, when we had the wind behind us.
Yeah.
Time for Ruben to head off before we continue with some other tasks, and I'm already feeling really empowered.
Nicely done, Matt. Tell you what, turn around the mast, followed by turn around the nose. On your sort of first flight in a while. Very, very obvious. Those skills are translating very clearly across.
Yes!
So, yeah, it's no doubt at all.
Did it. Awesome. That's so great to hear. Thanks for the encouragement, Rick. That's great.
Doing very well, mate. We'll,
all of those hours in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
That's right. So,
what do you reckon I should try now?
Let's try a bit of an air transit. So what I want you to do is...
And this is a fun way to finish up. Rick wants me to fly some racetrack patterns along this grass area. I'm a bit overcautious at first. Up till now I've been concentrating on small, gentle movements, and now the challenge is for me to get a bit of confidence, keeping the speed up and pushing the machine forwards.
Yeah, slightly turned down. Good. We'll just keep a little bit of distance from that glide path.
Yeah, I just realised I was just enjoying getting it all set up there. And yeah, how are we going for speed here? Rick is a bit slow now, isn't
it came off a little bit, so not that there's a lot of wind today, but trying to keep 40 knots on the aircraft, regardless of what the wind is doing. If the aircraft thinks it's doing 40 knots, that means we've got good clean air coming over the disc. We're going to be nice and efficient. All those vortices and that bad induced airflow is being blown behind us, so that's where we want to have the aircraft ideally, so that's wonderful.
Oh, you feel free bloody gliding around like this, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Awesome. It's not a bad way to spend your days. A little forward cycling, obviously it's going to make us descend a little bit, so a little bit of power if you need to.
Lifting, just getting into the hang of lifting the collective.
Yeah.
Like accelerating out of a corner in your car.
Exact same principle. We want to, as much as we can, keep that 40 knots on the aircraft so that you've got that good clean air coming through the disc.
Yes. There it is. There's the collective, Matthew. Now found the accelerator.
Yes, I am enjoying this, but I'm also developing my situational awareness. In the flight simulator, I think I'm reasonably good at scanning my instruments while also keeping my attention outside the cockpit. But here in the real helicopter, I'm having to relearn all of that, particularly monitoring the speed and also the little string attached to the outside of the canopy that swings left and right to indicate how smoothly I'm taking these corners.
All right, I'm going to be like Rick, and I'm going to... Oh, now we're getting quite fast now, aren't we? So, 50 knots.
Yeah, good for you for recognising that and slowing down a bit. That's wonderful.
All right, so raising cyclic now, collected to do our turn. Oh yeah, that was a little bit more powerful, Rick.
Yeah, so it's okay to be... it's okay to be a little faster. What we don't want to be is a little slow where we're accidentally maybe turning downwind without speed on the aircraft, and then we can potentially be over pitching, which we don't want. So good, little forward cycling so we don't wash that speed off. Good.
Yeah,
nicely done. And the airspeed indicator showing us.
Yeah. Did I skid that round a bit there, or
a little bit? But the airspeed was there on the aircraft, so that was fine.
So I just needed a bit more left pedal on that one, did I?
A little more right pedal actually.
Right.
In the turns, the string's your friend because you're looking out of the aircraft, and you just apply the opposite pedal to where the string is. So a little right pedal now. There you go. And what's that?
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Exactly.
This has been so great, an incredibly affirming experience. Though, of course, I know there is still so much to learn as Rick guides us back in to the apron.
Here's an air transit, so I'm probably a little quicker, 60 knots.
Yep.
Let's get down to something that looks a little more professional. So, 40, 50 knots, 50 feet, but, we don't have to hover taxi everywhere like a plane. We're a helicopter, and therefore we can fly around like a helicopter in this regard. So.
Yeah, nice one.
Wow. That was really cool. Thank you, Rick.
Very well done. So hovering was fantastic. It's very rare we see people jump in with that little actual aircraft time and just be able to settle the aircraft down. Very favourable wind conditions, but not to hide behind that. Just some good flying today. Did some turns around the mast. They were good. And then turn around the nose, which was good, and then finished off with a bit of air transiting, which by the end of the kind of time we had was pretty credible too. So very, very impressed actually. It was some good flying.
Oh, you're too kind. Look, I remember my first experience 3 years ago. I think I came in like what a lot of people come in and are holding that cyclic in the death grip, right?
Yep.
And I think through whatever flights of experience I've had in the last 3 years, I think I've overcome that. So what's going on there with people? Why do people need to grip that stick so tight, and why is that a problem?
Yeah, well, it's natural when you don't understand necessarily what's correlating with what you're trying to do and what's actually happening. And the firmer someone holds the cyclic, I mean, at the worst sort of side of things, that articulation is happening all the way up here at the shoulder joint, and you're trying to fly a very sensitive control with your shoulder. Once that starts to release, maybe to the bicep and then the elbow along the forearm, but ultimately the hand and indeed the fingertips, where you can start to manipulate the cyclic, will give you that finer kind of control. But that all just comes with experience, understanding that you don't need to over-control an aircraft through not knowing necessarily what it's going to do. But as much as you can sort of get up to the point of resting your forearm on your leg will help you with that sort of finer control.
So what do you think it would take for just an ordinary person to actually learn that hovering skill? What are the key things that a person needs to learn to be able to do something like that successfully?
Well, I think there's no sort of magic shortcut to hovering. Again, using that juggling analogy, it's one of those things that you just need to do.
Yeah.
I will say that there is no wrong way to learn to hover. To say that someone like a new line pilot we have, Teague, was hovering in his first lesson, someone who'd come from doing a bit of simulator experience, very, very credible hoverer. Other people can take literally 10, 15 hours to hover, and once people can hover, it doesn't matter how you kind of got there, much like solos. So all I would say is that everyone is different, everyone learns at a different rate. As long as people are prepared to work hard and show up and put the effort in, everyone really can hover. I've yet to meet people that can't hover. I'm sure they're out there, but if you're asking yourself that question, then the answer is most likely that you can hover.
Yeah.
And it'll just take you however long it just takes for you for that hover fairy to show up and tap her wand on your shoulder, and then it all just sort of settles down and works out.
Well, look, what I can say is I've got about 1,400 hours in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Most of it's probably just setting up the camera so that I can do shots for my videos. But I mean, I really feel like so much more empowered than what I was 3 years ago.
Good.
And like what I also get from here, Melbourne Heli, is that you create a really supportive and nurturing and encouraging environment. And so just because I'm coming in here with a whole bunch of flight simulator experience shouldn't like discourage anyone else from coming along, right? Because they're in safe hands.
Yeah.
Reassure them.
Oh, absolutely. Look, anyone that comes and flies helicopters, whether they come from the sim world or fixed wing or just no aviation experience, we're all passionate about what we do, and safety and having fun are the two things that go hand in hand here. So lovely to have you along again today, Matthew, and very nice flight.
Thanks, Rick. And I'll catch you in another video again real soon. See ya. Woohoo! High five!
Nicely done, mate.